Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and in this video we are going to make some turtle sundae cookies. This cookie recipe was inspired by a recipe that I saw on the Perfect Keto website, and one of the ingredients in this recipe is the Perfect Keto salted caramel collagen. Now, if you've seen my reviews, you know that this is probably my favorite Perfect Keto product. That said, I still won't pay full price for it. So for the next 5 days, I have secured a little bit better deal than my standard 15% off that you can get. It's a buy one, get one 40% off deal. It works on any product in their store. If, however, you already have some collagen powder, then I would say just add a 1/4 teaspoon of caramel flavored stevia drops, and I'll include a link to those down below. Before we get to making these cookies, I'm going to preemptively answer a couple of the questions that I suspect I'm going to get. I have made the dough to these cookies 3 different ways. Hand mixer. This is probably the slowest and messiest way to do it, but if it's all you've got, it will work. Probably the best method, especially in terms of cleanup, is if you have a KitchenAid stand mixer. If you do, I recommend using the paddle attachment with the spatula edge. Good stuff. But because I'm assuming more people have food processors than have stand mixers, we're going to use the food processor method. This is the fastest of the methods, a little more cleanup because there's more parts. The next question I suspect I'll get is on sweeteners. I have tried this recipe with a number of different sweeteners, and what I found is Lakanto, way too much cooling effect from the erythritol. Swerve, all by itself, still a fair amount of cooling effect. Swerve, using half brown swerve and half granular, really cuts down on the cooling effect. The best combo was Swerve Brown with Boca Sweet. Now I realize Boca Sweet is a little bit more expensive, so if you don't mind the cooling effect, just do the Swerve Brown, Swerve Granular. That's it. Let's get to making these cookies. We're going to start by mixing our dry ingredients together. First with 1½ cups of almond flour, 2 tablespoons of coconut flour, 1/3 cup of granulated white sweetener. I find Boca Sweet tastes the best. Swerve, though, suitable replacement if you don't mind a little bit of cooling effect. Optionally, you can add 1/2 teaspoon of xanthan gum if you want your cookies to be a little bit chewier. And finally, we have 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And oops, I almost forgot the salted caramel collagen. That would have really been a bummer. 1 scoop. If you are not using Perfect Keto, 1 scoop would be 16 grams of another collagen powder. Whisk until you've incorporated all of your dry ingredients. And then we'll set this aside. Then into a stand mixer, a bowl, or food processor, we're going to add 1/2 cup or 1 stick of butter, which I cut into some smaller cubes here just so that they don't bounce around the inside of the processor bowl. Then we have 1/3 cup of Swerve Brown. Now mix or process until the butter becomes light and fluffy. You'll likely have to scrape down the sides from time to time. And it's very important that your butter be at room temperature. Once the butter has hit sort of a frosting type consistency, we'll scrape down the sides again. Then we will add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract and 1 large egg. We'll process briefly till combined. Then we'll add about half of our dry ingredients. Process till combined. Should only take 5-10 seconds. Add the other half. Process again for another 5 or 10 seconds. Then I'm going to transfer my batter from the food processor to a bowl. This step won't be necessary if you're using a stand mixer or a hand mixer. I know it's one extra bowl and a little bit more cleanup, but you're going to see how much easier it is to portion out your cookies this way. Now our final two ingredients, 1/4 cup of Lily's chocolate chips. I'm using milk chocolate. If you want to use dark chocolate, you can. And 1/2 cup of crushed candied pecans. And that is my recipe right there for that. Fold everything together with your spatula. And then I'm going to go preheat my oven to 325 degrees while we portion these out. Line a cookie sheet with a silicone mat or parchment paper. Now this particular mat I got at Costco, and I love it because it's got 24 little indicators here for where the cookies go. That's how many cookies we're going to have. Also, we're going to be using a disher to portion these out. Now this is a number 50 disher. I will link to it down in the description below. It will give us exactly 24 cookies. How about that? Pretty much right on the nose, 24 cookies. Now these cookies will flatten out a bit, but not as much as we would like. So what I do is I have a little bowl of water, I get my fingertips wet, and sort of pat them down into better circles. Looking good. Now into the oven. We'll let these go for 6 minutes, and then we'll turn the pan around and let them go for an additional 6. It's been 6 minutes. Give these a turn. And let them go another 6. Now as you look at these cookies, they're going to appear not fully baked at this point. If you poke at them, you're going to really think that they're not fully baked. Trust me, let these guys sit for 10 to 15 minutes and then we're going to move them to a cooling rack. Now we'll move our cookies off to a cooling rack where they will continue to firm up for the next half hour or so. Now just for comparison, I'm going to show you the version I did without xanthan gum and the version I did with xanthan gum. This is without xanthan gum, and you'll see that the color is a little bit lighter and it's spread out a little bit more when we baked it. This one here is with xanthan gum, a little bit darker and a little bit thicker. Let's see how they taste. That is so good. You can give that to anyone and they are not going to know that it's a keto cookie. They are not going to know that is 1 net gram of carbs right there. Now, the version without the xanthan gum. Not as moist, still very good. I do feel like I'm picking up maybe a little bit more of that erythritol cooling effect from it. I'll go back to the xanthan gum one more time. I feel like the extra moisture that the xanthan gum retains really takes this over the top. So I'm going to say use the xanthan gum. If you enjoyed this video, click that like button, tap that subscribe button, and if you want to be notified whenever I release a new video, hit that bell. Thanks for watching.